Welcome to Journeys of Empowerment. I'm your host, 𝗵𝗲𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁 about learning from role models who face challenges, overcome them, and spark real change. Your journey to unlock potential starts now. And before we dive in, a quick shout out to our sponsor 𝗀𝗍𝗃𝗃, creating real lasting change. What 𝗀𝗍𝗃𝗃 does best is spark agency by helping managers step into their role as influencers of positive behavior. It's not about control, it's about empowering teams through positive reinforcement that makes a difference. If that resonates, check out 𝗀𝗍𝗃𝗃.nl. I'm beyond excited to introduce someone who embodies the essence of this podcast, Sacha Martina. Sacha isn't just an entrepreneur, co-founder of House of Inclusion, and public speaker. She's a true champion of inclusivity and driving force behind creating spaces where everyone feels seen, heard, and valued. Our paths crossed in 2021 during the 𝘀𝗵𝗵𝗿𝗍 board membership program. But Sacha's influence has shaped my life far beyond that. In this episode we explore the transformative power of resilience, empathy and community through the lens of Sacha's personal and professional journey. Together we uncover powerful insights, how she creates safe spaces that foster trust and belonging, the pivotal role her mother played in shaping her mindset, and how embracing bicultural identity can unlock new levels of self-awareness and strength. This is more than just a conversation. It's a celebration of turning adversity into opportunity and a reminder that empowerment often starts with showing up, even in the face of setbacks. Sacha also shares exciting glimpses into her upcoming book and a major event planned for 2025, focused on expanding inclusivity even further. Let's jump right in. Sacha, I am so happy that you are here today.
Yay, thank you so much.
Special.
Finally.
Finally. And it's a special day today because it's the Christmas Eve day.
Yeah, the day before Christmas.
Yes. Oh, wow. Hey, Sacha, I would love to start with at least one compliment, but maybe...
Well, keep them coming. You know, I love a good compliment.
Yes. All right. Here we go. The way we officially met in 2021, I think it was somewhere in June, July, 2021, due to the fact that we both decided to start with the 𝗀𝗍𝗃𝗃 board membership program, and to figure out, is it something for us or not? And I really vividly remember the first time we met, and we had a great day, and we had afterwards drinks, and we had an assignment. What was the assignment already?
I think it was like midday, like during lunch. And I don't also specifically remember, but I think one of the assignments was you were broken down in groups.
Yes.
We were in a group together with 2 or 3 other guys.
Yeah.
And we needed to come back and we needed to at least learn something about each other beyond the obvious.
That was, yeah.
Yeah.
And there you, you suggested the 2 truths, 1 lie.
Yes.
And that was really interesting. To be honest, I had really difficulty to come up with 1 lie, and it became 1 truth. So I became a little bit confused. But what your superpower is there, and what is clear for a lot of people now, and for me then, is your ability to connect on a very deep level in a split second with each and every one of us. Because I vividly remember after me struggling with finding 1 lie, and then the next one opened up and told something highly personal that we thought, okay, but this can't be a lie. If somebody is telling such a vulnerable, open painful experience, you can't lie about that.
No.
It was something with his sister and dying, I believe.
Yeah.
And that's because you are able to create a safe space in a split second. So my compliment for that is that wherever you come, that's what is surrounding you. You are the intersectionality for me for creating safe spaces.
Thank you.
In everything what you do. And because we became friends, I joined a lot of events with you. And we enjoy and love events.
Yeah.
And you opened my eyes and also made me aware of something I wasn't very aware. Maybe I was in denial, deliberate or conscious or unconscious. But my own bicultural upbringing wasn't at all conscious, and following you in all the events, it became more clear that there is work to do to go inward and to find and to discover my own bicultural upbringing and to embrace it. So I thank you for that too.
Oh, can I also ask you questions, by the way? Yeah,
of course, it's a conversation.
Yeah, because I love that you said it, but what was it? What was the thing that made you sort of realize that there is work to do? Do you remember?
The first, vividly. The first time was at the Skybox, and there was at the event, and I think I arranged you to be a moderator there, and there was a lineup with a panel where we also met Ranjit, and I vividly remember everyone was sitting, I was standing a little bit like me, and me being me, and against the wall somewhere, and I was just relaxed watching you shine and do your thing, and then all of a sudden, out of the blue, you started laughing and you said, "Yeah, Michiel, but what does diversity, equity, and inclusion means for you? What does it mean for you?" And I was a little bit surprised because I think 50 pair of eyes were looking at me, and I was like, but it cracked something open in me, because at first, being adopted and grew up in the high privileged white community, being the only not white person, you always try to fit in, right? You don't want to belong, and it was so long my behavior that for me it was normal, and and I felt accepted for who I am. On the other hand, due to the conversations we have there and your question, it was like, but maybe I have to be honest to myself. I never felt really one of them. So I didn't feel excluded. And that made me curious about, okay, but if you don't feel one of them, what did you suppress? What kind of feelings bubbles up if you really allow yourself to feel?
Yeah, to go there.
To go there.
Yeah.
Sacha, that became one trip inward for, I think, a process of 2.5 years.
A lot of people, I think, don't really talk to themselves or have this sort of mirror moment. Exactly what you said, especially if you are the odd one out, the minority in the room. And that can be in multiple things. So we are used to being the minority mainly on skin color. You've learned to mask, right? To fit in and be one of the rest. But somewhere there's always this underlining feeling of, but I'm not. But I look the part, I play the part, I speak the part, but I know I'm not. But a lot of people stop there and they're like, it's fine, I've managed my whole life. And then I think there's a lucky few at one point that do the inward work and then find out, oh wait, I've been suppressing something my whole life. And if I do it, other people also do it, which makes you not give 100% or 200% of your capabilities to whatever you do, because you're always suppressing something. So you can't be your complete and utterly self that you're supposed to be, like all the other people in your friend group, in your family, in your work, wherever you go. They probably do, and you always give unknowingly maybe 80%, maybe less. I don't know.
I believe so too. In hindsight,
yeah,
I didn't felt that way, or before 2021, I didn't. I wasn't aware, and you made me aware, conscious. You made me curious.
I made you woke. Woke is a good thing, huh?
Yeah. No, it is, and you made me aware of also that there is more than only and also about my mask. So that's and it's a starting point, and I really feel at home at all the communities you're creating, all the initiatives you're doing, because you feel everybody feels a little different, yet we're not alone. We don't feel alone. That's the power, I think, what you are, what you achieve with you being you. We are all different, yet we're never alone.
No, because I think a lot of the people that come to the events that we organize, or they share that feeling, and they know how horrible it feels to be one of the few or the only one. So they go right past that momentum and know what is needed to make you feel included, right? And that is sometimes it's difficult to explain, because it's almost like a connection that happens within a split second, and you don't always have everybody the same connection, and you don't have to. But when you speak to most of the people, you feel like it's okay, you know? I'm welcome, you're welcome. I love to learn more about you, and you love to learn more about me, and let's have a great night together.
Yeah, true. And you know my background a little bit. It feels almost as if, like, for instance, the last Queer at Work.
Yeah,
the setting there, it's unique. It was in a different setting again, over a different location, but the moment the curtains close, it becomes one united world. It's beautiful. It's beautiful, and I think, and I want to believe that is the closest feeling of being a part of a family.
That is very special, right?
Yeah.
And I love that. Thank you for that compliment. And that is exactly what our dream was when we organized this, because we know there's a lot of places where a lot of people don't feel included or feel like, okay, this is okay. And especially in the business world, where we are used to putting on a certain figure, a certain mask to fit in, or to make people think, oh, you are an authority, or you are that director, or you are that whatever. You are a person. But I've been to a gazillion events, you as well, and it always is the same, right? It's always the same people talking to the same people. It's always the people with the most authority on stage, and the rest is clapping and embracing their geniusness. And you never get to really connect with people that might bring you further, because, I don't know, I think that whole networking thing is broken, because people don't come in as equals. And we said, when we organize something, everybody is treated the same. And yes, we started with a queer event, because the queer community is a community that's a lot of times being overseen, overlooked. You don't see on the outside if somebody is queer, and that is also difficult because there's not enough representation for queer talent. So that's why we said, let's start there. But everybody's welcome. It's not a queer event. No. Everybody's welcome. But we see, obviously, like 60 to 70% of the people that are there are part of the community. And the rest comes from sub-communities. But the love that we get every time,
I get goosebumps now. If you say, because I vividly see in front of me that picture of the last time and that love, and I literally got goosebumps. That is the feeling what I meant, family.
Yeah.
At that moment.
It's so cool, right? And this lesson for us is also a huge compliment that people have busy lives and they know I can't make it, but I'm coming in anyway for 30 minutes just to say, hey, everybody, and give people a hug and share some love. Yeah. And the best thing above all is me and Dan. And so Dan is my business partner, obviously, but maybe not everybody knows that. We started House of Inclusion, and Queer Work is one of the labels that falls under that. We are both public speakers, and we became public speakers without it ever really being the goal. We just got asked to share more about our experiences and our insights, and especially on how it feels to not fit in at work and how can we help others fit in more. But we see around us so much talent that also has an equal or probably stronger story to share. They don't know the route, they don't have the connections, or sometimes not the courage, or a combination of the above, to go and take the fucking stage. Because it's so important that we see and we hear other voices and other people than it always the same. So we have, well, you know, you've been there, right? But I love that we have somebody who is an entrepreneur, who is a trans woman, who is gorgeous, by the way, and who has a super powerful and inspiring story that I can learn so much more from than another Peter of 55 who started another tech company, which I think great, but I heard this story already 1,000 times. I want to hear from other people. But nobody is giving the other people a mic. Why not?
Yeah, why not? I can't answer. I'm happy that you both are doing that and creating that safe space. And it helps. The way I see it is, it helps us all being there and allowing ourselves to be ourselves. And that's truly what matters, right? No masks, no opschmuck, no fancies, just who we are with our vulnerabilities. I vividly remember also the one that was the second one in March.
At ACE.
Yeah. And one of the speakers was so nervous, but the feeling the group gave, it was amazing. And you saw the person growing each minute into the story. Yeah. And also being able to, later on, tell how incredibly nervous. You know who I do.
Yeah, it was Ellen.
It was beautiful.
And I put her on the spot as well, right?
Yeah,
because
you did.
I said, if you say yes, you're the opening act. But I told her, I think she already said yes months before. And what I thought was even more special, maybe I don't know if I told you this. So Ellen is also a trans woman who works as she has a really strong management role at a IT company, tech company. And she was planned to undergo her final surgery. Which is the big one. And she rescheduled it because she wanted to be on stage with us so badly. Yeah. It was scheduled exactly for those days because I think it's like a 2 or 3 day you are in the hospital kind of surgery. And she rescheduled it. She told me a couple of days prior because I said, I'm so excited, la la la. Are you nervous? And she said, yeah, I think I'm more nervous for this than for the surgery. I said, do you have to go undergo surgery? She said, yeah, but I rescheduled it because I wanted to be here so bad.
Wow.
And then she had to wait for another 4 months or something because it's not like they do these surgeries every day. So again, for us, very grateful, but also I think people also know on the other hand, this can also mean something for me, for my career. And I always tell everybody, please, if you get the opportunity, grab it. Right? Because sometimes they don't come often.
No, the world doesn't meet halfway, right?
Most of the time, no. So if you are not the type of person that says, I will build my own fucking table, if there is an opportunity to grab it, both hands, don't let go. And then you have to, swing it.
Yeah, seize your opportunity, and you are creating a safe space for people to allow themselves or to seize the opportunity.
Yeah, and I love that people take it.
Yeah, of course, and that's the reason why you're doing it, right? It's the driving force behind it. And so this was only the first compliment. So the first compliment was really about.
Oh my God.
Helping.
We're already 18 minutes.
Yeah. That's and so it was really about your superpower in connecting, not only with other people but also with ourselves. That's what I'm grateful for, and what started our friendship was a starting point, connection. Mm-hmm. We're both connectors, born, and we are chosen family, and for a reason. And so this connection, not only with others, because we are both capable of connecting with whoever we want to connect, but also more when it comes to, for myself, with myself. It was really a starting point. So thank you for that. And the second one is a very recent one. And then after that, we're going to do a deep dive, because Jersey for Empowerment is about real life stories. And what makes you you, and it's about role models, and it's about the social impact you're aiming for, and so on and so forth, and also making the connection between our personal journey, which is most of the time, if you're really in the people empowerment, social impact, inclusion, then there is always a strong connection in our personal journey and what we are aiming for in our professional journey, right?
I hope so.
Most of the times.
Well, at least that's what I thrive for. I hope other people feel the same, but I do also know that a lot of people chose a path or are on a path that has nothing to do with their purpose, but it's really good in paying the bills and living a good lifestyle. But I think nowadays everybody knows that it's nice to make a lot of money, but there's also like a limit, right? This is comfortable, this is more than comfortable, and at one point you don't feel the difference anymore. No. And that is also the scariest place to be in, because you end up in almost like a golden cage. Mm-hmm. A lot of times people who make more than like 150K a year are not really happy anymore with the work that they do, but they also can't leave because they are used to that certain lifestyle. Yeah. But if you ask them on a deeper level, like, what are you happy with the work that you do, and would you like to, do this until your final breath? You see almost, that the fear behind their eyes in, oh fuck, never really thought about that, and the twinkle that people that work within their purpose, that they have in their eyes and in their voice with everything they do, that is contagious. And then the money doesn't matter. I always said the money will follow. If you do what you love and you're good at what you do because you do what you love, so it equals a balance, the success will come. The money will come. But first, just do what you love to do. And if you put money as a third, fourth, or fifth priority on your list instead of the first, you start doing things differently, and you start having so much more fun and love with everything, and it doesn't matter. Instead of knowing like I have a really good paycheck, but in reality, do I make an impact? Am I really happy at the end of the week, of the year, of the month? Of wow, I did something amazing. Probably not. No, but it's a journey. Most of the time, it's also a journey, and it depends on where people are in certain stage of their life. Some people never get there.
Yeah, some people that's the thing. Some people never. And for me, that's okay. But luckily, we did, and so that makes me always curious. Okay, but what is the story behind the story, and what is the story behind the beautiful picture across the table right now, sitting here? And what is the real story? So, hey, but the second compliment is about your recent start with Riks, the podcast. Gek op witte mannen. Yeah. Crazy about white men? What do you say?
Obsessed white man. Obsessed with white men.
Okay. Let me get back to my compliment. And I really enjoy listening, because there are a few things what I really admire is that although first of all, the dynamic between you two is really, I love it. And there's an energy, but there's also a level of depth and a level of related to numbers, a little bit to data, but also the story behind the data. So I really love that. And what I really admire of you, I know you're so driven, and also you're so busy in your head with all the thoughts and all the brain power in you, and you're so calm and collected in the podcast.
Oh.
I really, it's envy. So envy for me is the positive side of jealousy, because I am not jealous, and especially not my sister, but I envy that because and I feel now very calm and relaxed, but but for you it's a natural. It's natural. It comes across as calm, collected, well articulated, well prepared. I don't. Yeah, that's the funny thing. It comes across, but I don't know. And but I really enjoyed it, and also the level of depth and the complexity of the last one I listened was all about polarization, and that's a very complex concept to explain and to talk about, and to make it easy, digestible, and understandable. I think the compliment is for both of you, the dynamic, but also the ability to make it simple, easy to understand, to follow.
Thank you.
Yeah, that is
all. Well, that is, I think, for me, one of the best compliments, because, okay, so one, starting a podcast when everybody is starting podcasts, or sometimes also I'm the type of girl that doesn't want to do what everybody's doing. You know that. So when everybody has something, I'm already over it. I want to do something else. But this was already a long time, something that was like oozing on the background. And last year we already started brainstorming about this. So we already saw the whole picture in front of us. And it needed to be a combination of everything. So it needed to have humor. Mm-hmm. That's why we chose a title that is sort of, it raises eyebrows. And in the Netherlands, we know that a lot of times the white guys are now the victims. So it's the privileged white men that can't do anything. They can't say anything. They should shut the fuck up because they are privileged, which is obviously not true. So we said we need to give the white guys some love back, because they are the victim of this whole D&I story. And we are also literally obsessed, because both of us have been with super average white guys for a long time. And me and Rix are both D&I professionals. But we also said we get the same questions from the same type of, especially businesses. And it's a lot of times it's practical things.
Yes.
It's the practical thing where you just need to sit down and listen for 15 to 20 minutes. So if an HR leader wants to talk about polarization, which is, I know, not the sexiest subject, but you need to talk about it with your people, because it's happening. It's happening day in, day out. It's happening within their teams. It's happening around the world. You can't shy away from it. But if you don't know how to deal with it, we want to help you. And you don't always have to pay us. We do love it if you pay us. But you don't have to pay us to get a little bit of advice. So that was the goal. Like, how can we make sure that when our listener, which is a leader within a business, preferably, but it can be anybody. I think there's something to learn there for anybody. But when you're driving to work, or you're driving home, or you're on your way to your 𝗵𝗿𝗁𝗁 or something like that, and you listen for 20 to 30 minutes, you know a lot more. And you can use some of these data points that we use in your next conversation when somebody tells you, like, I don't think this is really necessary, or I don't really understand why we should focus on this, or we teach you, but we are not there to lecture you.
Yeah, that's exactly the feeling. What my compliment is all about. It's about being able to strip down the complexity and deconstruct it, not in a boring way, but in a simple and easy to digest way, but also being able to make it practical make it practical. And for instance, one example for me is I'm really curious about, and not for now maybe, but about the empathy sessions, because that's one of the starting points, right? If you have an empathy session, and what is it about? You can explain a bit. Yeah, maybe what is an empathy session?
You mean an empathy session with me?
Yeah, with the team. So listen to understand. What is an empathy session? Because I became right away curious about, the how-to.
Yeah.
And this is what makes me curious. We can talk about a lot of things, but if we don't know how and...
Yeah, so we've learned that a lot of teams and companies function really based on output. So they know what is expected in terms of KPIs and deliverables. But that doesn't mean it's a healthy company. A lot of times it means there's a lot of toxic things happening behind the scenes. And people can't put their finger on it. And an empathy session helps because you're friendly forcing everybody on an equal level, because you have to look at each other again as humans. Nothing to do with your title, how long you've been with the company, how much your paycheck is, because we are in a room and everybody is working for the same company. We're equal. And we're teaching them the power of empathetic listening, which is listen to understand, have an open mindset, to not judge, which is very difficult for a lot of people because we judge, and we all judge. So even if people say, I don't do it, yes, you do. Maybe you don't talk about it, but in your mind, the judgment is happening as soon as somebody opens their mouth or walks in. Same with bias. You can't say I don't have it because you have it.
Of course, there are 160 or 180 biases. So saying that you don't have one,
then
you're not human. Then you're not you. Yeah.
No, but I think that's where the power lies as well, right? That's where the empathetic session becomes the biggest success. Is if everybody, and sometimes on their own pace, is able to step into that sort of almost the dark side of something that they don't want to tap into. Be super vulnerable and explain, I do this, I judge about that, or I have a bias around these kind of people, or I am scared about that. And by showing that vulnerability and showing it across the board, so again, doesn't matter if it's your VP or your CEO or the intern in the room, we all have it, but we don't talk about it. We don't share it. But once you open up, you find the best connections and the most beautiful connections you can find. And people start seeing each other as human. And I love it personally because people always break. Not everybody, but on their own pace. Some people break by crying. Some people break by shutting down, but really doing some sort of inner work. Some people break because they finally feel valued and respected by their peers that they've never done before. And we do this in teams of management teams, sometimes people that we've been working with each other for 15 or more years, right?
Yeah, so long, and still
never opened up.
Yeah, there's something in between them.
Yeah, because they see each other as, oh, you're the CFO and you do this and this and this, but not you are
human.
Yes, your name is Maarten and this is your story and this is what shaped you. And this is why some things trigger you on a different level than they trigger me. And instead of thinking, that's weird, what is our human primary thought, we teach them, wait, something is happening with you and I can be there for you to build an even stronger bond. With all the benefits that come after that, first you need to level again on that empathetic level. So cool.
Yeah, great. It's an absolutely recommendable podcast to listen to. So
thank you. It's in Dutch though.
Rich, this is also for you. A big compliment. So hey, and so now let's go in deep dive into the personal journey. And I have one question to start with, and it pops up multiple times in our pre-conversation, and it does now again, and you used it at least once, and it's courage. Courage is a theme which, in my opinion, I'm slightly biased. In my opinion, is also a core strength of you. But where did you start developing courage in your journey?
Oh, we're going to go way back,
yeah.
I think, for this one. Where did you develop courage? Well, I think, honestly, that started very, very early. I told you, of course, I come from an interesting background. So on the one hand, I grew up, the first few years of my life, I grew up in Amsterdam. Then we moved to this tiny little village called 𝗵𝗲𝗿𝗄, which is 20 minutes under Amsterdam, which is a farmer's village. So not that much anymore now, but it used to be when I was smaller. Still, a lot of people worked in a farm, and it's a community where everybody knows each other.
Mm-hmm.
So people live in the same street as their parents, as their brothers, as their aunts and their uncles and their niece, and everybody knows each other. So we were popping in as the odd ones out. My parents got divorced when I was young. Was not a nice divorce. It was very traumatic. And I stayed with my mom. And so I am a person of color and my mom's not. So already it started very young that my mom had to defend herself because people are rude as fuck. People said to her, "Oh, is your baby adopted?" And then she had to say, "No, she comes out of my vagina." The amount of times this happened, I still remember.
Yeah.
And I was young, but this happened sometimes multiple times a week that people were questioning, like, what is this connection? And I think there already started that I need to be courageous.
Mm-hmm.
Also, primary school, I was the only one who had a different skin color than the kids. And all the kids knew each other because they were somewhere either related or their neighbors were related. But everybody had already a very deep connection. And I was the new kid on the block, and I was also a kid of color. So I got bullied in the beginning that some of the older boys would paint with brown marker on their finger, and then they wiped it past my face, and they said, "Oh, look at that. She's dirty." And I never had the option because my mom taught me, like, we're not going to be weak. This is going to be life, unfortunately, for you more often than others, and you need to be smarter and stronger. So before something happens, you already have 5 other things that you can do or can say. So I love that because it gave me, I think, a very speedful mind to always be prepared. It's also not nice because you're also sometimes living in this constant fear of, what if somebody says something, I need to be prepared. Mm-hmm. But I'm happy that my mom taught me that because there was no room with me. So if somebody tried it, I would finish them 2 seconds later and they would never do it again. But yeah, it always gave me this on guard mode, and that went all the way through secondary school, through college, and basically my whole career. I've had so many encounters where I had to be quicker or smarter, and also to people who were much higher up, in the business than me. Because people say shitty things. People say racist things. People bully. Also, adults bully. People don't give you equal chances, although they think they do. So one of the things that pops in my mind is an anecdote. I think I told you this one probably before, but it's I think one of the ones that was my fire into becoming an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. So I started my career. So I studied fashion management. I never actually worked in retail because the market was shit back then. So I started on the 𝗀𝗲𝗄𝗃, mm-hmm. World Trade Center, as a recruiter, and I was pretty good at it. I was so good at it that I got promoted. Then I got headhunted for another company. Got promoted there, and then I had my first baby, Zoe. And after that, I wanted to go freelancing. So I did some freelancing for different tech companies. And at one point I got recommended for a really big job, like a really big job with a really good role. Also freelance, but I was going to hire a whole new tech department, like 900 people in 3 years' time. And this was really almost like a bucket list thing. I was like, yeah, this is so cool. And I got recommended by somebody. And if you are a referral, most of the time you're 70% in. So I went there and I was prepared. And the hiring manager, I felt the awkwardness and the disconnect from the moment I walked in the room. I don't think he researched me. And this was also in this stage where LinkedIn was, I think, starting to become really big, but not like we do now. The first thing you do when you see a new name is check somebody out.
Yep.
LinkedIn. But back then, not that much. I'm going to take a sip. So I walked in and I saw almost disappointment on his face. Like, oh, this was not who I was expecting.
Oh, wow.
And so the conversation started, but if you feel, we've all been there, that you walk into a room and you feel that somebody is not on your level, you're not in their sort of sweet spot, even worse, you can work very hard and try to do your best to be professional, be very funny, or it didn't matter. I think the guy already has written me off the moment I stepped in. But I did my best. I was professional. I answered his questions. And then I think after 10 minutes, he looked at me in my eyes and he said, "Can I ask you something and be honest?" I said, "Yeah, sure." He said, "This is not your resume, right?" I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, this is not your resume, right? This is somebody else's." I was like, "No, you see my name on there, right?" And he said, "Yeah, but this is not your details. You didn't do this study. You didn't work at these companies. I don't believe it." I said, "Oh, so you're accusing me of lying?" He was like, "Well, I think you may polish it up a bit." I said, "No, I didn't. I don't think even half of the things I did are on there. So this is my resume." And then he just looked at me like, "No, I don't believe you. You're lying. You're full of shit." So imagine how that made me feel. Made me feel like the tiniest person on the planet. Because this was the guy who was standing between me and my dream job. So I said, "Well, then I think we're done with the conversation, right?"
Oh, that you said that literally?
Yeah.
All right.
What else do I have to do there for another 45 minutes sweating my ass off?
No, but if you feel little on the one hand, and on the other hand, feel the courage to really step into it and say that,
yeah,
I think that takes a lot of courage.
It does. That's why I said I think it started already very early, that I knew to cut things off. I think a lot of people would have finished the interview, be humble, be thankful, and then pray to God that, I don't know, he has an epiphany. But I've also learned to trust my gut feel, and my gut feel is always right. So also then I saw in the guy's eyes, he was never going to hire me. So I could sit there for another 3 hours, 4 hours.
Waste of time.
And trying to convince him of all my skills. It was a waste of time. So I said, "Well, I think then we're done with the conversation, right?" And he said, "Well, I have some more questions to ask you." I said, "Well, I don't think you're going to hire me." So I picked up my resume and I walked out. And mind you, the moment I turned around, I started crying. I don't think he knew, because I was crying in silence crying. And I cried my eyes out on the way home. But I also decided, I remember 1 or 2 days after that, like, this is never going to happen to me again. Never. And also it shouldn't happen to other people, because if it happens to me, it also happens to other people. So that was, I think, where my real mission started off. It's never going to happen if I keep following the same route. I need to do it myself. So it's a little bit of that. If you need to get a seat at the table, and if you can't get a seat, you need to build your own table. I think that was I'm going to build my own table kind of moment. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and you want to hear something funny?
No.
The funniest thing of all. So fast forward to, I think, 2 or 3 years, I was building my own agency, as you know. It's called Your Talent Agency. And we were doing this massive project for a tech company. And we, I think already 3 or 4 of my people from my team were working there, but they needed more. And I didn't have more at that point. So they said, okay, we need to hire a couple of really good senior recruiters extra, because they needed to hire like a fuckload. I don't remember how much. Fuckload of people. So we put out an ad and we said, okay, people can come in for interviews. Guess who came on interview?
Oh no. Oh no.
Guess who?
the person once on the other side of the table.
He didn't remember me. Can you imagine that?
Nah, come on.
And that never happens almost.
Nah, but do you believe that?
Yeah, because I don't. He came in, so I was doing the interview together with the HR manager from the client side. We were doing like dual interviews, and we were having like 8 in a row. So we had like bam, bam, bam every hour. Somebody else came in, and he was number 4 or 5. And one of the people from my team did the pre-selection of the CVs. Yeah. And you know me, I have major ADHD, so I wasn't that prepared. I just had this stack of CVs and I was like, okay, next. And then I saw his name and it already rang a bell, but I was like, oh, also recruitment industry is not that big. So I thought maybe I saw him in the past. I saw his name at least and it rang a bell, but not negatively or positively. Yeah. I just thought, I think I know
somewhere.
Yeah. And then he walked in, and obviously I never forget the fucking face. So he walked in, and I saw him, and I was like, this motherfucker.
Yeah.
But I thought, okay, let's see what happens. And he didn't fringe or anything. He was trying to impress the HR manager much more, and he was sort of not really ignoring me, but definitely paying much more attention to the HR manager. And then I think after, it was a pretty quick interview as well. And then he just shook our hands and stood up, left. And I said, oh my fucking God. Because I told, this was the HR manager, I told her this story as well, somewhere in our collaboration.
Oh, and then you made the connection that it was this person. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So that makes me curious. If we go back to the first endeavor you had with the person we were talking about, you said you turned around and you cried.
Yeah.
What made you cry?
Oh, I think the feeling of defeat, like, I think, is that the right word? It was a feeling of, I know I am probably one of the best candidates for this job, but I will never get it because you are blocking my way. Mm-hmm. And I don't have the power, I don't have the connections within this company, but maybe not even in general, to change that. So this is a company that I will probably never going to work or never be successful. And it was something I really wanted. But somebody who had more power blocked the way and didn't look at me as, oh, this is just a talented, gifted lady who comes in with the right set of skills. He was so biased that he didn't believe anything that was on my CV. So I think there was a feeling of defeat again. I've had this multiple times, but this was the biggest one I can remember of life is very unfair. Because how would he have treated me if I was a guy? How would he have treated me if I was a white guy? How would he have treated me if I was, I don't know, fill in the blanks, but not me.
Injustice pops up in my head.
Injustice. Yeah.
Injustice. That's really also oil on the fire for you, right? Injustice is really. Yeah. I know you, so that's for me not a guess or a question, but this feeling. That's why I would love to come back to the feeling that and what made you cry. The whole injustice, the whole feeling of, and also the powerlessness, right? That you felt at that moment.
Okay, yeah, and every time I go back to the moment, I feel it again. Yeah. I feel it in my body. And it's been a long time ago now. I think it's probably, this was 2015, 16, something like that. Maybe, I think 14, 15 even. So it's a long ass time ago, almost 10 years, but the feeling hunts you forever every time you talk. So I think it's, on the one hand, it's healing by talking about it. I think every time I heal a little bit from that situation, but it also still haunts me because this is somebody that's still active in the world, that still uses their power, not for good, but to block access to the people that also deserve a chance. So it's not that I deserve it more, I deserve it equal. But you're not being perceived as equal. And that is why that discussion around privileges, and I also love hosting these kinds of sessions, that some people are more privileged than others. We are all privileged in a way, but the privilege are not divided equally.
No, I can imagine that some people have tons of it, and some a little box, a little bucket, right?
Yeah, and the people with the biggest boxes are not aware of how big that box is and what you can do with it. Instead of using it for good, they use it for the wrong things, and they also not open to learn from. Hey, wait, I did something wrong here. And I think we've all also done things wrong, but a lot of people are not able to reflect on, shit, what have I done? And I know, right? He saw me 2 years later, 3 years later, and I know that he thought, fuck, somewhere in his system.
Yeah, that's why I can't believe that he didn't recognize you. I won't believe that. And there is a reason why he was ignoring you. Almost deliberately, right?
He played a really good role, but I think he knew, like, oh, now the power dynamics has changed, has shifted, and not in my advantage.
No.
So I really hope that this guy sometimes looks at me, or he sees, the updates of my career, my life in his timeline. I don't know, because I don't think we're connected. Or maybe I blocked his ass. I don't know. But that he sees it, and that at least sometimes he thinks, fuck, that was my ticket to learn.
Hey, but and the feeling you left when crying, we talked about. But now the feeling that you were sitting across the table in your new position next to the HR manager. What feeling did you have then when you saw the person at that moment?
Good one. So there's, I think, multiple things you can do. I've always said, kill them with kindness. So I will never be the petty bitch that will do the same to you, or try to teach you a lesson by doing, what you did wrong. I killed him with kindness. So I was super professional. And I let him finish the whole interview. And afterwards we did, how do you say that? Compare all the profiles and the interviews together. And he ended up at the maybe-pile based on his interview and his CV. And only then I told the HR manager what happened. So she knew the story, but she didn't know it was that guy. And I said, I don't want this to affect your decision making. So that's why I'm telling you now. This is the guy that gave me the most horrible experience, I think, in my career so far. And she said, I had an off feeling with him the whole time, but I can't put my finger on it. I think it's because he was so hyper obsessed with me. And most candidates know how to sort of, balance out. If you interview 2 or 3 people, you need to give everybody sort of equal attention because they're all part of the decision-making process. And he was not ignoring me, but he was like giving me 10% and her 90%.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, I didn't like that about him because it says something about how he sees power.
Mm-hmm.
And that he also will use that in his own ways of working. And then she heard the stories as well. I never want to have somebody like that in my team. So he was, thank God, already on the maybe pile.
Mm-hmm.
But then he moved very quickly to the no, you're rejected pile. And I called him personally to reject him. And I said, I hope you remember me. I said, yeah, we had an interview earlier this week. I said, oh, do you also remember me from 2 years ago, 3 years ago? And he said, no, did we meet before? I said, yeah, I came on interview with you. Remember when you were working at this company? I need to be careful before. And he said, oh, yeah, I interviewed so many people. I don't remember all the people and all the names. And I said, well, I need to inform you that you didn't get the job. And it had nothing to do with how you treated me 3 years ago. It really had to do with how you performed during the interview. And I highly recommend that you work on your social skills and on your bias if you really want to get into these kinds of companies. I said, because the managers and the people who are in the lead are changing. And they do not give a fuck about power and the people that you know. He's that kind of person that goes like name dropping. Oh, I know this person. Oh, do you know that person? I know this person. We don't give a shit. We don't care. Right? I said, so I highly recommend that you work on yourself if you want to end up in these kinds of companies. but you didn't get the job. And I wish you the best. Bye.
Wow. That must give a feeling of... I think it's good for your self-confidence that you can be straightforward, but not pulling someone down, and being open about this experience you had. That must be a feeling of relief, maybe? How does it feel? Yeah,
a little redemption, a little bit, but not in a... Again, I never have the evil redemption.
No, I know.
But I think there is something to learn, always, for everyone. And I think that was my teaching moment for him. And I honestly hope he did something with it.
All right, I doubt. But sorry.
I don't know.
But maybe there's hope. Hey, and for people who are listening, Journeys of Empowerment is built on a sort of 4 pillars. And one is real life stories. So your story is real and it's a life story. And the other one is also about role models. And can we conclude that one of your first role models, or maybe most important role model, but at least a role model, is your mother?
Oh yes, 100%.
Because 100%. she ingrained something in you, planted a seed when it comes to, hey, whatever happens, the whole feeling that she is fighting for you.
Yeah, and she had to, right?
Yeah, she had to, but also she did. She did.
Yeah, she did, and I think that I'm very happy that she didn't keep me small in that sense of, no, you're just as important. Yes, I'm just as important, but life will be sometimes unfair. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing you can do about that. It's not your fault, but there is something that I can sort of teach you to deal with that. And I think a lot of parents, especially parents who have kids that are part of a minority group, so if it's somebody who is born with a disability, or is born or is adopted, a lot of times I see that these parents are overprotective, right? Because they are like, no, my child is already a little bit weaker maybe than the rest. Mm. I need to protect you. But you can't do that forever. No. And I think the earlier you start helping your children be equipped with the tools or the skills that they need to stand up for themselves in a way that feels good for them, you're only helping them also on the long term. Because if they are overprotected and you always solve everything for them, how are they going to deal with it when they end adultery life? Because the same patterns happen in the work floor. People get bullied. The people who are off are a little bit different, are a lot of times not included, overlooked, and are part of that minority group, and we keep putting them in the minority group. So you need to make them resilient. I think maybe more. And I'm very happy that my mom did that a lot, and she did the best that she could.
Yes.
And not shy away from the tough conversations and the tough topics.
Yeah, and I think it's a very impactful way of upbringing for you and support. So thank you, mother of Sacha.
Thank you, Mom. I love you.
No, but it's interesting because I heard you say, it's one of many times I felt I experienced a defeating experience, yet, as I know you, it never really defeated you.
No.
Never. And for people, because it easily could have.
Oh, yeah.
If you add all those kind of experience, small and big, and it comes a sort of reinforcing kind of experience, then you can, maybe left and right. Left is it's not going to defeat me, or getting defeated, or becoming the victim, or and I can imagine there are a lot of more people. I recognize myself in a lot of stories what you're telling, but I can imagine a lot of. But what can we learn from that? How can we prevent feel defeated?
My God, you have deep questions today. How can you
prevent feeling defeated? What helps you?
So I think, first of all, I have an extremely positive mind. So, and I try to feed myself with positive thoughts, positive people. I have positive candy here as well. No, but it's also a choice, right?
Yeah.
I think, yes, you are probably born with a blueprint, but a lot of things are a choice. So do you choose to take something very heavily and keep staying in that negative spot, or do you choose happiness? Do you choose to empower yourself with people and things that bring you positive things back? That's why I said I always say kill them with kindness, because I don't want to lower myself to the level that most people do when they feel attacked. And I've been through some hella shit the past few years. And I always choose the path of kindness, because I believe that brings me back to my positive mindset and to positivity, and not the defeat and not the victim. Also in our industry of diversity, equity and inclusion, victimizing is a big topic. So a lot of people that work in D&I come from a minority background. They know how it's like. You don't have to explain. We have that instant connection always with each other, but a lot of people go from a victim role. And they try to get people on board because, look at me, I am the victim. This is what has done to me by your people, maybe. I don't think that works, because people do not feel attracted to that. Mm-hmm. They didn't do it directly to you, but you're sort of blaming them anyway for something that happened by others. And you're not getting them on board in seeing the bigger picture, that this is a shared responsibility. So I never take on the victim role. Mm-hmm. And if I feel a little bit defeated, because obviously I'm not made out of stone, right? So I also sometimes feel defeated. I let the emotions through. I allow them in all their colors and shapes, and whatever works for me. And sometimes that is a good cry. Sometimes that is starting up something that gives me good energy again, positive energy.
Joy.
Yeah, I'm an entrepreneur and I have ADHD. So I am like the combination of
entrepreneur on steroids.
Ideas all around. And I love doing things that I've never done before. So I put my energy into something positive and I do something. And believe me, 8 out of the 10 things I think of don't work or don't launch.
But you do them anyway.
I do them anyway.
Yeah.
This is so cool. This is the joy, right? The fun thing of being an entrepreneur. And a lot of times we speak to people, I know you do as well, that people are like, yeah, but what if it doesn't work out? Or what if people don't like it? Or what if like all the...
At least we tried, right?
The demon voices in people's mind. Doesn't fucking matter. Like everybody that became successful has 100 graveyard stories of things that didn't become successful. Because... you thought of it, you tried it, didn't work, or you thought of it, everybody said, I don't think this is going to work, and then you buried it again. And then 1 out of 100 does work and becomes a success. But the joy is that still, I think every day I see something, I think, ooh, this could work, or I can make a business out of this, or I should start something like that. Same with the podcast. Yes, first I thought, I'm not going to start another podcast. Everybody's doing podcasts now. And then I thought, no, I learned, it's also a fun fact for you, most podcasts don't make it past 20 episodes. Did you know that?
No, I knew that number is low. And it's all about consistency and pushing through and embracing discomfort and do it anyway. And everything what comes along with starting a podcast. And but it is a gradual process. And you have to embrace the process and keep going.
Yeah, be consistent.
Be consistent.
And
show
just
up.
Go. And if you think of the amount, I don't remember the exact amount. And so many people over the past few years started up and they ended after 3 episodes. So
lucky. We're episode, I think, episode 10. So I made it finally to half of when people stop and at least made more than 3. So yes.
So, and if you stick it out to 20 or more, you're part of the 1%.
Oh yeah, that's what. So okay, let's go. Let's go there. Hey, Sas, and as we're nearing, I could easily talk for hours with you, and that makes it so fun being a friend and your brother. Because we have chosen each other, we have adopted each other, right?
Yeah.
And we have to make it official. We have adopted each other.
Yeah, we said we're both only child,
yes.
right? And I always wanted to know what it's like to have a brother or a sister. I have 2 kids myself, so I'm happy that I could give them to them.
Mm-hmm.
But still, you don't really know. So you can have really close friends, but how it's like to really... I need to cough again. It's the candy. It's killing me.
It's getting emotional when we're talking about our brother and sister love. You can't blame her.
Sorry. No, but I think you can get really close with friends.
It is.
But then it needs to be really ride or die.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it started out a little bit as a joke, right, with us, because we were the only people of color in a group that you said in the beginning of a training that we did.
Yes.
But it turned out to be more. And we said, I think we really started calling each other bro and sis very early on.
Yeah.
So we just became brother and sister.
Yeah. It feels you are going to have your own place on the wall of chosen family in my house.
Not the wall of shame.
No, of course not. Hey, and since we're heading towards, my aim is always to try to draw a picture, because in our bubble, everybody knows us, and especially you. Mm. But
is that so?
I think but it's always interesting also for people who don't know you. It's interesting to draw a picture, and especially also for people who know you a long time. Get to know you a little bit better, hearing you talking about your personal journey and what led you to become you. And because we all see the high-polished version and an accomplished entrepreneur, and we see you as public speaker, and we see you in a podcast, and then we see you at 59 clients in 1 year. Like, can you imagine the first year at House of Inclusion, and then 59, am I right? Yeah. It's insane, but it's amazing. It's very special to know where it all comes from and what helped you and what fueled you, and also the importance of a role model. And are there more specific role models in your life that I forgot to mention or to ask about?
So I think so, yes. I have multiple. And I think my role models shift as I go through different phases in life.
I can imagine.
So a couple of years ago, when I started my first real business, it was 2018. And the years before that, I was freelancing. And I'm always very tough on people who say, I'm an entrepreneur. If you're freelancing, it's not the same. It's not the same. I'm sorry, because I've been through both. And I wanted to set up a business, and I wanted to let it grow. I had no idea what the fuck I was doing. I don't come from an entrepreneurial background. I didn't have anybody in my direct environment that did that or did something similar. So I just wing it. And then after the first 6-7 months, I was exhausted because I was trying to figure out a lot of things that I had no knowledge of. Mm-hmm. And no role models. So I started with an entrepreneurial accelerator program from the Next Women. And I think I met a couple of role models there, which is very nice because they are sort of back in my life now. So there's 𝗰𝗿𝗲𝗁𝗁, Sacha, and Yasmin, who are seasoned entrepreneurs, ladies, and they are from 1 or 2 generations older. And they also all started with an idea. They just did it. Became very successful, sold their companies, and were teaching the newer generations of how do you do that. And the cool thing is, if you fast forward to now, they started up a new initiative called the Angel Initiative for angel investors or aspiring angel investors. So if you don't know what that is, it's somebody who is funding other businesses as an angel. It's slightly different than a VC, a venture capital, because venture capital sits on a shitload of money, and a lot of times it's money from different people who have big pockets. Angel investors are single investors, and they invest most of the time somewhere between 10,000 to 100,000 euros, sometimes a bit more.
Yeah.
But they still have funds and they want to help. And what I really like is a lot of angels want to help underrepresented founders. And now I'm in their journey again, but now as a baby angel.
Cool.
So I started with them in 2018 as an entrepreneur, and they were teaching me their entrepreneur tricks and lessons. And now I'm in their initiative again as a baby angel. So we are investing together in minority founders, a lot of women, but also people from other backgrounds, people who are with a disability, people who are part of the queer community. So everybody who doesn't get the equal chance at most VCs, we invest in those.
Yeah, happy that you mentioned this. Can we share something in the notes about this initiative? Because I'm having a lot of very highly energetic, very intrinsic motivated, beautiful entrepreneurs, which I think will easily fit into the prescription you just said, and description. And I would love to have something to share in the show notes. Right?
So we come together every 2 months, and then we have a pitch night. So if people are looking for funding and they're interested to talk to angels, so if you're not already looking for millions and millions, but you are looking for like a seed investment or first investment in your business, and you fit the sort of I'm a minority founder kind of description, you can send your pitch deck. I will share the information so you can put it in the show notes. We do pitch nights every 2 months, and we are super transparent. So we also give them a lot of feedback on these are maybe things that you have to work on. Sometimes it's pitching skills, sometimes it's the pitch deck, sometimes it's a combination. And we already invested in quite a lot of companies together, and it's so much fun to do. I wish this was there when I started. So I never raised money.
No.
I did all of my companies bootstrapped, which means I never got funding. Funding can help, right? Get you quicker to a certain level, especially if you have a scaling product like a platform or an app or something like that. You need to scale, and to scale you need money.
Sacha, that makes me curious. You said, okay, I wish that was there when the 5-year or 10-year younger you. What would you have done differently then? And what stage would you have allowed to ask for money for what?
So if you are bootstrapped, everything you spend, you think about 20 times. From office supplies to people that you're hiring and everything in between. And the biggest cost is people. But I've always been in the people business, so I need people to scale my business. And a lot of times I could only hire one person in a couple of months, and then I had to wait another 4 to 6 months to see that the profit was going up, because you first make the investment before somebody starts making revenue back. Can take some time. Sometimes you hire the wrong person and they don't make anything back, so it only costs you money. So I always have to be very careful, because your cash flow needs to be consistent. But if you have the opportunity to hire more people with the right skill set to do the thing that I did, the company could have been so much bigger and more successful than I had to be now with being very careful. So that would be my lesson, that I would take it on quicker, because you can reach your goals quicker. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that I think it's also a strength, right? To really be very focused on expenditure.
Yeah, I've never been down that road. I know a lot of founders, and most of the founders I know have funded companies. And I love it that some of my friends who have funded companies said, I have much more respect for the people that do it bootstrapped, because it's your own money. That's number one. And you have limited funds. So you have to make much tougher decisions than if somebody says, here, you have $1 million, go. That's a little bit, of course, not the real case scenario, but if you have a good funding plan and there's a couple of VCs that believe in you, you can do quite a lot in a very short amount of time.
Yes.
And if you're bootstrapped, it doesn't work like that. So everything you do, every minute you put in, is from your own pocket. So I always love that when they say it's not easy to raise money, but once you have it, life becomes a lot easier. I don't know. I think I like the bootstrap part. Fits me better so far. Plus, I also like to be in charge.
Yes.
In the end. And if you get funding, you're not in charge anymore.
All right. Hey, thank you very much. We're heading towards the closing for this, and I hope and I believe, but I also hope that it won't be a one time that we are in a podcast, because I'm really enjoying having a conversation with you, and you have so much. Yeah, your journey is so admirable, and since we're heading to 2025, can you share a little sneak peek what's on the agenda for 2025 with House of Inclusion, and what are the big plans, or is there something you can unpack a little and share a little with us? Because 2024 was really
crazy. Yeah.
And it still was just the first year.
I know. We say to each other almost every week, we're just getting started.
Yeah.
But also, if you have such a crazy good first year, so on the one hand, yes, it's good because 59 clients sounds very glamorous, but it also comes with a lot of stress and headaches and sleepless nights. And we are with a super small team, right? And I thought we're bootstrapped. So we have to be careful that we keep the momentum going. And we are delusional as fuck, so we want to do everything. So we're trying to we're currently pivoting into how can we create a more lock-in model with clients, so they don't just book us for one inspirational session, but they know it's a journey.
It is.
And how can we offer them a journey that is to be overseen and also fitting in the budgets, because there is a need. But the need is different with every client. So that's also that makes it complex sometimes. You don't have a one-size-fits-all that you can roll out. So that's something we're working on. But I think if I want to give you like a real good sneak peek.
Yes, please do so.
There are, drum roll. There are chances of us bringing out a book.
Yes! Chances? How big are the chances?
We are currently investigating the options, but we are very close to saying yes.
And are you going to co-write it with Danielle?
Yes.
Oh, that is beautiful.
And it's not going to be a book about D&I. It's going to be...
Of course not.
Well, yes and no. So there won't be any D-E&I in the title, but it will be obviously filled with D&I. But we want to make something that you can give your racist boss, your racist uncle, but also if you are the most woke person in the company, still something fun and interesting to read. Again, a little bit like we do the podcast, tangible stuff that you can put into practice, a lot of real stories. And something that is a book that you can basically give to everybody, and there's something to learn for everyone in there.
I have a ton of questions. I'm trying to capture it in one. What are you preferably aiming for? Like if somebody has read the book, what is the feeling somebody has about reading that book?
I like the question. I want people to walk away after they read the book with the same feeling they have after they did a session with us. And we know we can't multiply ourselves in thousands. And we also know we will never reach everyone, right? But we do know the feedback that we get when we do sessions from leaders, but also from participants that say, thank you, I understand better now, and I am a little bit more woke in a good way. I'm more aware, and I know how I can use it. So not just talking about it, but we give them a lot of practical tips and tricks, storytelling, that when they close it, they think, oh, wait, fuck, I have also been doing some things here and there, not on purpose, but now I know and now I can act on it. And that is our little push into the world of making the world a more inclusive place.
Beautiful, beautiful. I have a suggestion. That is that when are you planning to, preferably, because it's now in the sort of chances are high, it will come there. I know you, so otherwise you won't talk about it. But what is preferably the launch date of the book?
I haven't thought about that yet. I don't know. Listen, I never wrote a book. So people told me, I know people who have written a book in 3 weeks. I know people that are still writing their first book and it's been 5 years. But we want to push ourselves and we are also very impatient,
Yeah.
So it has to be somewhere in 2025.
Great.
But I don't know when.
All right, here's my offer. I would love to have Danielle and you in a podcast just before you launching the book, and that we can have an interview and a conversation about the book and the aim and so forth and so on. Are you in for that?
Of course.
Wow, great. How can you say no? Huh?
No, on the spot, definitely.
On the spot, definitely. That's my trick.
No, but I love that. That would be great.
I would love to. Hey, and yeah, I'm going to. It's with pain in my heart. I will
end on a high
and end on the high, and that is really great. And when it comes to events, because I love events, I love the power of connection and gathering that you are able every time to do. So is there an event somewhere in 2025 you're thinking about?
Also,
no pressure.
No. So we've been doing Queer at Work a couple of times now.
Yes,
we love Queer at Work. There's going to be another one. Also, time and date will be announced, but it will be probably before the summer.
Mm-hmm.
But we're also working on something bigger, obviously.
Yeah,
you asked me to do one big prediction for next year.
Yeah.
So everything is still, I said that, in development. So
high concept stage.
But we want to create something that goes beyond Queer at Work. That is really for everybody and everyone, not making it a huge thing right away. No,
of course not. It's bigger and it's for everyone, but it's not going to be a biggie, okay?
No, not that we're expecting 10,000 people or something.
At least.
No. No, because I think the power of what you also described of how we organize things, it's because
the intimacy is also
intimacy.
Yeah, it's very important.
And if you want to, that's one of the pillars that we said that's a USP. So we need to take that with us if we want to organize something that is beyond the queer community. Mm-hmm. But we need to get that intimacy feeling that people walk in and they feel, okay, maybe I don't know everybody or maybe I don't know anybody.
But I feel safe.
But I feel okay. I feel safe. So that is something we want to create that is not just for queer, but it's for all intersections.
Cool.
But when, where, how, that is still a big question mark. Hopefully also somewhere in 2025. So
you're very active on social, so I can imagine that you will stage it via social
100%.
And share it with your audience. And Sacha, I want to really thank you so much for this conversation. I hope every listener takes at least something small, big out of it. I'm sure. And I'm looking forward to everything what is coming in 2025 and further. I am so happy that you are in my life, and I'm happy that you are who you are. So keep going and keep being you. And thank you for being here.
Thank you again for having me. And when you have your 21st episode, let's, I don't know, do something to celebrate. Because then you're part of the 1%.
Yes. Wow, that's great. We will do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.